Hello, thank you for tuning in to this week's section of reads. This should be on the YouTube channel James13 Wicca, in case you're seeing it somewhere else. The dice and decks I'm using are listed below. Other than that, if you would like a reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. Thanks again for watching, and let's get into your selection. Hello, Capricorn. Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's read. These readings are valid for whenever you come to them. That being said, what do we have for Capricorn? Da, 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 da. I don't know where. Da, 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 whatever that is. You got the World. And it seems to be something you're looking for. It just is a whole new era. This is interesting. Are we going to put out the whole deck? I guess so. So whatever I picked up, the whole thing is there. So there's a whole process going through. A whole process. And it's realistic. It's realistic. So, the snapshot I'm getting of going forward is like, it's not going to be all smooth, but I also get like, I don't feel like Capricorn trusts it unless there's like some type of rough spot. Something needs to be worked out. There needs to be something that doesn't quite make sense that you need to kind of put in order the way you want it. So I feel like smooth sailing doesn't make sense. So if there's a rough spot, that actually gives you confidence because you fix that rough spot and you're like, and this is why I know that's going to work the way it's supposed to, because I put it where it's supposed to go. Okay, let's see. You're walking away from something. Is that correct? Am I saying, are you walking away from something? It might be starting with like your mental outlook. Okay. Could be job. Could be a family thing where maybe you're not participating in certain events, traditions, something. It reminds me of like one of those things where, okay, we've done this for years. I didn't really want to do it the last couple of years, but I forced myself to go. And you know what? This is going to be the first year I'm not going to do it because of this reason or that reason. Could be something like that. I don't think this is a total new thought. I think this is something where I feel like I've been participating in it because I feel like I don't want to just like make a snap decision and just end it. But it's been kind of ruminating there for a while. Is that the right word? It's been kind of there. Kind of like, This could be also something like if it's a job situation where I wasn't planning on leaving, but at this point it's kind of like, you know what? I'm showing up for the paycheck and I'm accepting that. But even that part, it's kind of like, I'm starting to feel like the paycheck isn't worth the amount of work I put in here. Because the job itself is one thing, but the people, I should get an extra paycheck for just dealing with the people. It might feel like that. Take it with a grain of salt. This Wheel of Fortune, I feel like it's been a part of this situation you're currently a part of. And that might be one of the things. It's kind of like, I don't know how it's going to go today. I don't like showing up to this situation wondering if it's going to make sense or not make sense today. And Capricorn is very much about stability. Anything less is not acceptable, not tolerated usually, unless you would actually have to. But whatever this is, it's kind of like, I need to move on from this. This isn't going to work for me anymore. This, whatever this is, I'm not going to do it. It's just not really going to do it. And it's due to lack of satisfaction, basically. Due to lack of satisfaction, you are or have been moving towards this motion of changing what's going on. It's not, I don't feel like making peace with it really makes sense. It's more like, I need to do this because this isn't working, and it's more accepting in the sense of like, this isn't gonna do it anymore. It reminds me of somebody, I know they were an earth sign. I don't know if they were Capricorn, but when they were younger, I want to say they worked in a job that was very chaotic, and they're like going into it, they knew it was. And it worked for them for, I want to say, a good decade or so. And then at one point, they're just like, you know what? Whatever they thought it was, or whatever it was when it was younger, it just didn't make the grade anymore. And they decided they would take their knowledge and they transitioned into a different role where they could use the knowledge they had already acquired, but they could make it in a more stable environment. And they could give that information and use that information in a place that was like more like, I've learned a lot from where I was and it served its purpose at its time, but like, I don't want to do that anymore. And they transitioned somewhere else. They didn't lose the value they had. They learned a lot, but it's kind of like, well, it was what it was when it was what it was, if that makes sense. I just feel like when I see this 9 of Wands, is that the 9? Yeah. The way I'm seeing it is like, I've come to this point where I just can't keep doing this anymore. I just can't keep doing this anymore. And I'm going to take my effort and I'm going to start finding a different place where I can apply the value I currently have. I need to start doing that. And I just feel like this moment is like, it's triggering, like I can't keep doing it this way anymore. This is not where I'm going to be in 10 years, 20 years, 15 years, 5 years even. I'm not going to be here in 5 years. This isn't going to work. I almost feel like if I look ahead and I'm like, even if I look ahead in a year, 2 years, I'm just like, I have to start moving in a different direction. I don't want to keep doing this. This situation is sucking the life out of me is what I keep thinking. And it's almost like I know there's something out there and I'm going to move up this mountain and I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to find it. I'm going to create the plan and then I'm going to set that plan in motion and I will achieve that plan. It just seems like this is the bare bones, like what I'm already looking at. The world is here. And for some of you, maybe you're trying to convince yourself that you don't need to do this or you don't want to do this or you don't have to do this. If you're still watching this reading, I would say at this point, I would look back the last 2 months, the last 5 months, the last year, the last 2 years. How did you feel about whatever this is about? This doesn't have to be work. It could be some type of family situation, something else, whatever it is that fits for you. Could be even maybe the place you're living, something like that. How did you feel 2 months ago? How did you feel 6 months ago? How did you feel a year ago? How did you feel 2 years ago? How did you feel 5 years ago? And if it seems like it's going downhill, or it seems like I haven't liked it and I still don't like it, even if it's at the same level, like I didn't like it then, I don't like it now, it might trigger that kind of like, all right, you know what? I need to be happy. I deserve to be happy. What do I need to do? What do I need to reform here? Because it's not going to happen unless I change it. If I just keep doing what I'm doing, it doesn't change. It's not going to get better. What do I need to do to make this better? How do I get control of this to create this the way it needs to be created? Do I just keep holding on to something that I don't really like just because I can? You've already proven that you can do that. I don't feel like you don't owe that proof to anybody. And you know that you can do that if you want. The only person you need to prove anything to is yourself. And you've done that so many times over. If you wanted to keep doing this and you wanted to force yourself to keep doing this, you could. You know you could. Is it worth the value? That's the question. You are emotionally detaching from whatever this situation is. That seems to be what's coming next. You're headed in that direction. The inspiration is going to come to you. The inspiration is coming to you. You are emotionally detaching from this situation. I keep seeing that happen, which it's happening. I'm getting emotional from this. I know that it's a swords card. It talks about intellect a lot, but I keep getting emotionally. You're disconnecting from this, and you're just kind of going cold with the thought, like the feelings towards it, because it's kind of like I just feel like it reminds me of a job that's like I'm here, and it's kind of like I do what I'm supposed to do, but I don't care. I get it done correctly, but I don't care. It just feels like that. I've worked in jobs like that where it's just kind of like it's just worn me out. It's just draining. I do what I'm supposed to do. I do the correct things. I don't care if people like it or not. I don't care if people feel better about it or not. It doesn't bother me one way or another. I'm just so drained. I just can't emotionally connect with it anymore. Um, I don't know why I'm adding this in, but the job I'm thinking of, I think I was in it. It was like the last 10 months, and I was like, I started looking for a job. I had to. I was in the last 10 months, and I would go home, and I would just like, I didn't like myself, and I had to figure out like, why is it that I don't like myself? Is because I'm emotionally shutting off, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I was wiped out. Couldn't do it. Anytime I tried to emotionally reconnect to the job, it just felt like I got kicked in the face. I just couldn't do it. And I realized it was all right. It was time for me to find a new job. Whether I liked it or not, I just realized it wasn't worth what it was doing to me personally. And I hated going home and looking in the mirror and going, why don't I like me anymore? Like, what's going on? Why do I feel this way? Because I was emotionally going vacant. That's why. Um, what is this? This is interesting to me. Um, oh, it's not okay. There needs to be the hard questions. You are definitely capable of doing that, but this part where I feel like you're going emotionally vacant, you don't have to get that far, by the way. But there's this thing where I just find something similar but different, and it doesn't really fix the situation. Um, I don't know. There's something here about finding something similar but different that doesn't really fix the situation. Okay. So like the place they're showing me, like if I had gone to a different department, I was already wiped out with that company. I didn't realize that until like years later that I was wiped out with that company. I just seen too much, I think. Um, so it's almost like making a subtle change, just kind of like, well, this is, I can breathe a little better. It's kind of like, how do I explain this? It's like if you're used to living with your lungs at like 30% capacity, and then they're like, okay, make this change, and now you're at 50% capacity, that's still not good. I don't know if you can live with your lungs at 30% capacity. I don't even know if that makes sense. But I feel like you're struggling for air, and then you're like, oh, but I got 20% more. It's still half of what I'm supposed to have, but still, it's better. That's not going to make it here. You can make a partial move forward and feel like that's good enough. The point of this reading is kind of like do better for yourself. You deserve the total win. You don't deserve a partial win. You deserve the total win, the full win. Um, and it may just kind of like I just feel like if I go up a little bit, like I go from 30% to 50%, it'll start dipping back down. You'll start heading back, and all of a sudden you find yourself at 40% and be like, well, at least it's not at 30%, and then I'll just it'll get back down to where it was. So it's like we don't want to make a temporary improvement that's going to bring you back to where you were. We want to make a total improvement that puts this in the past, whatever that means for you. It's a tough question. I feel like this. I'm just going to be sure before I do this. You got to do what you think is right. Okay. If you look at the situation you're part of, and then you look at what you would actually want, does the situation you're a part of have a realistic outcome where it could actually achieve that? I keep jumping. So, like, I'm getting two different analogies, so I'm going to use the work one first. If you want a sane, stable, I show up at 8 o'clock in the morning, I leave at 5 o'clock at night, Monday through Friday, and maybe you work in like ambulatory services. I don't know how that works, which is a random, all different shifts. Does that make sense for where you are? If that's what you want, and you're working at a situation where it's like, there's always somebody on the clock, there's always somebody working, it's 24/7 job, it's like, it's random. And you want something stable where you show up at this time, you leave at this time, and people are not crazy. And I don't know how you can work in that job. I don't know how you can be an ambulance worker and not deal with craziness. I just don't feel like that would happen. I feel like it would be crazy no matter where you worked. It's kind of like, wait a minute, what you want and where you are, is there a way for that to link up? But also, with what you know, the knowledge you have, is there a version of the knowledge you have being applied somewhere where you could? Like, could you work at a doctor's office, for example, with the information you have? Could you work at a hospital? Something like, are there other options? Does what you want and where you are link up? Does it make sense? I hope I'm making that make sense. The other analogy I got, which I was like, I was cringing at this, but you know, it's either going to fit for you or it's not. If you're looking for somebody in a relationship stance, and it doesn't have to be romance, it could be personal, like a friendship, even like a family connection, and you want somebody who talks to you respectfully and makes sense and will slow down and actually think about what you're talking about and actually give you the consideration you need and deserve. Some people just are not capable of that, and it's sometimes that's hard to accept. But it's kind of like, after, especially if you look back at the history of somebody, and they're constantly using foul language and they like to put people down, or like it's hard. They don't, for some reason, they just can't keep attention on you. You try to have a serious conversation and you get like a couple pieces, but then they're off doing something else. They just don't take you seriously, or they just don't value you like that, or they just can't seem to do it. Does what you want from life and what you're getting from this person, does that make sense? Do they really match that? And maybe it's time to kind of like change your connection with this person. Stuff like that. What do you actually want? Because I get, like, whatever's going on here, I just feel like what you want and the situation is not matching it. The situation is it's just not matching it. But the thing is realizing, like, wait a minute. Do I just keep going down this road and just accept that and just be like, well, I guess this is what my life is, so I guess I just have to accept it, which you don't. Or do I, like, all right, do I make the tough decision and like really look at this and like, what would need to change? If it's not this connection with this situation or this person, what would need to change for me to remove myself from this situation and get into a better situation that suits me better? What would that take? What would that look like? Those first steps can be the hardest, because once you start to accept that, like, wait a minute, this situation doesn't fit me, and then you start looking at other possibilities and you really look at this, like, what would it take to get me out of this and get me into what I want? Then you start creating a plan and you're like, well, now that I have the plan, why am I not doing it? That would be the next step that would come in there. If this comes forward and if you go through this process, if you decide to, there's a lot of history you're going to go through. You're going to do a lot of evaluating through it. You're going to look at where what you want, what you have is not working. That's going to be the impasse part. There's a lot of cards here. I can't be going on for 10 days, and I will if I don't kind of cinch it up a little bit here. Deciding what you really want, looking through what possibilities are really in front of you, deciding what is and is not acceptable, grieving the situation you be leaving, because Capricorn gets invested in things, and then grieving what's not working and accepting that I have to let it go. And then once you make that decision, the energy will start flowing the way it needs to. Once you grieve it and start going through that grieving process of like, yeah, I think I'm really going to let this go. I'm really going to go towards something else. There's a whole process with that. But once you go through that, doors open up. I know there's a lot of cards. This end part, like, is blowing me away. There's a lot. It's deciding what you're going to bring with you and what you're not, and making the decisions that work for you. And it's going through this whole process. This whole reading is about triggering the beginning part of this whole process. It's a long process, but it's one of those processes where you get at the other end and you're like, yeah, I went through it. I got what I wanted to, and I deserve it because I put in the work to make it happen. And Capricorn is not afraid of the work, in my opinion. Capricorn just needs to know that it makes sense and that it's going to actually produce the yield that you need. All right, if we're going to get there, it's almost like you see the plan, you know it's going to work, and then it's like, okay, why am I not taking steps to make this plan happen? And it's asking those questions. This is a lot. I feel like this is a long process. This, hopefully, if it comes across correctly, is meant to encourage and inspire you and bring you that energy to like realize that like it's time to make those changes. It's time for you to have what you want, and this is where it needs to go. I feel like Capricorn also knows that like the most important things and the best things in life take a lot of work. It seems to be true for earth signs. That's how earth signs succeed. They find things that make a lot of sense that they really want, and they put the work in to get it, and then they get it and they keep it. And this is one of those things that's starting that process for you. So hopefully, or it's helping you keep going on that process. Maybe it's not starting it, but it's helping you continue on and encouraging you to keep going on this marathon that you probably already started running, just didn't realize that you were already on the track. All right. I'm going to shut this down here. Hope that helps. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information that's below, same email. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day.